Hey everybody, how's it going? Glad you could stop in and check out the latest video here from the Edgy World Nation headquarters. And getting closer and closer. We are under 20 days to kick off. And just yesterday being Tuesday, had to double check that Tuesday. Finished putting out. Now I had my Chicagoland 30 kind of preliminarily done for, I don't know, a few weeks before I put it on the nation board and threw it around. And I have made a few changes to that, by the way. So you might want to go back and revisit that thread. I revised the post and said revise. So you can go look at that. Just nothing major, just towards the, say, 25 and below. There's a few teams in, a few teams out. Go check that out. But today I want to spend a little time and talk about the preseason, and I've gone all the way down to 4A, so I'll get into that as well. But the preseason, Class 8A through 4A, top 10. So we'll give you a little bit of background. I mean, anyone that knows Steve Susie knows his work. Seuss puts together some amazing databases. I mean, honestly, he is truly now the only source for scores from the spring season. I don't know what or why the IHSA was thinking what they did, but they did not carry forward any of the results except for the final records from the springs for each team. Again, I don't know if that's something that they were able to archive or save, but if not, if it wasn't for Steve Susie, no one would really have any of that information. Anyway, Seuss also puts together, once the football enrollments have been released, which is what I was waiting on, Seuss was waiting on, several others are waiting on, so we could start doing preseason polls and have a guide. And that's the important thing. I will use this guide from Seuss, the preseason all the way through week 10, until we actually get the field set for each class. So most of you watching this, you know exactly where I'm going. So, but we finally have a guide to use as who's going to be ranked where. And again, there's been some changes this year because the IHSA decided basically to include, I guess is the best way to say it, the fact that we had no fall 2020 season into the various multipliers and success factors. So bottom line is it changed a lot. It only impacted 9 schools, but boy, those 9 schools really impacted a lot. So let's get into this. So Class 8A, again, it's I don't think it's anything really shocking. As far as my teams that are ranked, I think what you'll find and what other people have already talked about as far as response is what teams are in what classes. And let's face it, in this case, we're talking about all the private Catholic schools that are in different classes now than where they generally are comfortable and people are used to seeing them in. You're used to seeing Loyola in 8A. You're used to seeing Brother Rice in 8A. They aren't there. They're in 7 right now. We'll get into that. But Class 8A, again, I don't think it's anything shocking, especially if you looked at my Chicagoland preseason top 30. Lincoln Way East at 1, Warren Township, Marist, Maine South, Hinsdale Central, Glenmar West. So it follows through. Had a chance to see Edwardsville in the spring. Tigers have some skill coming back and some talent. They're going to be a very good team, and so is O'Fallon. O'Fallon obviously beat East St. Louis in the spring, a very good East St. Louis spring in the spring, and then Edwardsville beat O'Fallon. And so, again, I think the larger schools in the Illinois side of the St. Louis suburbs going to be good. So again, that's why I think it might surprise a few people that I have both Edwardsville and O'Fallon in, but trust me, they're both going to be really good teams this year. Nico Valley in as well as Naperville Central. I think it's more of a case of me including the DVC, but still kind of baffled a little bit by the DVC. And what do I mean by baffled? I mean, we didn't have a postseason, obviously, in the spring. So we got a 6 games, at best case scenario, 6 games to judge teams. The last handful of years has not been great from a postseason standpoint for the DVC. So a little bit more leery there than I would be in the past, but I still feel, and that's why the poll reflects, I like Nequa. I like Naperville Central better than I like some of the teams that I have listed in the others or next in, whatever you want to call it. But again, not a bad school to be found there. Of course, then next in is Palatine, home at Flossmoor, Barrington, Stevenson, Manuka, Lockport, and there's a handful of teams there in particular. I won't get into it, but some I have questions on. Some could very well be in the polls after week 1. So we'll see what shakes out. So moving down to 7A again, Loyola, Brother Rice, the two big surprises there that I think a lot of people didn't expect. Brother Rice right now, I believe the largest 7A school. So that obviously Brother Rice is going to dance that dance between 7 and 8 all year long. I personally would project them for 8, but we'll go with the math and keep them in 7. So Loyola, Brother Rice, St. Rita, of course, is one of those schools that are being multiplied. So they are pushed up to 8, pushed up to 7A. And honestly, I think the Mustangs are going to be just fine in 7A. Mustangs are going to be very good. Mount Carmel at 4. I know a lot of people have talked about this Mount Carmel team being younger, and they're going to probably lose some games in the regular season, and that's fine. This time of year, I go off of what I see in the strength of that team. I'm not projecting out what are they going to look like in week 9. Well, I kind of am saying that I think this is going to be a much stronger team as the season moves along. I fully expect them to lose at least a handful of games. I could say a lot about a lot of other schools here too. So bottom 5 at Wheaton North. Again, Wheaton North can be very good. Batavia, Wheaton South, St. Charles North. Boy, that looks familiar from a year ago. Hey, it's the way of the world, honestly, right now with the Duquesne. The Duquesne's a very good conference. Wheaton North, I think, is a favorite. Batavia, some questions, but they always seem to reload. Wheaton South is going to be good. St. Charles North, I think I rolled dice on here a little bit, but we'll see. Hersey and Willowbrook obviously rounding up the top 10. There are some teams in the next in that could make some noise. I think Moline's very intriguing. Didn't have a great spring season, which kind of made me hesitate putting him in the top 10, but I know they have a lot of talent back. Prospect as well is very solid. Hononegah and you'll see more than a few teams in the Rockford area represented in these polls as well. So moving down to 6A, this is where things get a little funky. No East St. Louis as of right now in 6A. I've heard some rumblings that maybe they try to find a way to get moved up to 6A. We'll see. But this class overall, I mean, Cary Grove, very solid. Simeon, Crete, Niles, and Notre Dame. Lamont, and then you go Kankakee. Again, I think the K's are going to have a really good year. Prairie Ridge is a team that I've got all the respect in the world for, and Chris Schremp. Just want to see how they do here early in the year before I jump on them and start moving them up the ranks. Rock Island's got a lot coming back. I'm excited about the Rocks. I'm going to make my way out this fall to the Quad Cities for a game. I've got 1 or 2 in particular I'm eyeing, but we'll see how that goes. Harlem, again, another team from the Rockford area that could be very good. And Lake Forest traditionally very strong in 6A if they're able to survive the North Suburban Conference, which I think they will be able to this year. Overall, I'm not really overly thrilled or excited with 6A. It's decent. It's not world beaters, but things can change. Class 5A, again, here's the shock. Here's where you really start catching some surprises. East St. Louis in 5A. Wow. That could be interesting. And the team right there, the second team, Rochester. So you're looking at, and I'll say this, best case scenario, a semifinal between Rochester and East St. Louis, if not even earlier, based off the geographics that obviously are still available in 6A and below. So that could be a mess. NAS, that's kind of a combination in my eyes of NAS being strong and 5A not being that good. Take that for what you will, 5A fans. Peoria, Sycamore, I think the Spartans are going to be very good. Sterling's there every year and should be. Hillcrest is a team I'm going to watch real closely. No more Marquis Serving, which makes things interesting, but Hillcrest still has some talent, so I think they'll be decent. Fenwick makes it in. Providence makes it in. Mascouda makes it in. I'll be the first to admit Fenwick and Providence probably nowhere near my Chicagoland top 30 for now. So I'll let you figure out what that means. And there's a few other teams in the next in that are intriguing as well. Dropping down the 4A, and the reason I decided to rank 4A as well, for this reason: Joliet Catholic, Wheaton St. Francis, St. Lawrence, Phillips. So a lot of teams that traditionally would have wound up in the 5A field are now in the 4A field for this 2021 season. So again, decided to drop down. How about Joliet Catholic 1, Sacred Heart 2? Again, for me, it's kind of a combination of Sacred Heart being who they are, always very solid, great program, and Cyclones need to rebuild a little bit this year. I wouldn't be shocked to see Sacred Heart with a couple of losses in the regular season. But again, how strong is this 4A class? Yeah, I think the top part of it's pretty good. Then things could get a little shaky. So JCA, Sacred Heart, Wheaton St. Francis, and again, Spartans are going to be very, very tough. But boy, that path just got really cloudy. St. Lawrence, again. St. Lawrence is a team that might end up having to go 5-4 and get in. But if the Vikings get into 4A as a 5-4, they could make a deep run. And the same with Phillips. Phillips decided not to play 7A for the second year of their agreement. IHSA allowed them out of that agreement, so they will be in 4A, and that changes the game greatly for the Wildcats. Again, still some questions about Phillips, but if they're able to do anything remotely close what they've done over the last handful of years under Troy McAllister before he left, they'll be tough here. Richmond Burton, great team. But again, this field just got traditionally tougher for sure for the Rockets. Quincy Notre Dame, Jack Connell's team, or Connell, I'm sorry, Jack. Very, very strong team traditionally. Mount Zion, Marengo, Coal City. And again, you could throw Effingham in there. You could throw Murfreesboro in there that's had a nice run the last couple of years. Very, very, I think top heavy is the word in 4A. So again, just a few thoughts, and I haven't officially made this 8A through 4A official yet. I'm still tweaking a few things, but so I wanted to give you some thoughts on my take on the polls here in 8A through 4A. You got thoughts or suggestions? That's why I have these wonderful message boards. Feel free to post your thoughts. Love getting feedback from you guys, and again, we'll do that every week during the season. So thanks everybody. Enjoy the lead up to kickoff, and plenty more content coming your way. So stay